Welcome back, guys. Day 17 of 21. We have just recently had a practice for happy hamstrings, and today it's going to be happy hips. Hips, I often get a lot of complaints about, oh, they're really tight, they don't have as much mobility as they may be used to. And some of us just naturally don't have a large range of movement in our hips. But we can still work with the hips, we can still bring in better mobility into the hips and hopefully get them feeling a little bit nicer. We're going to start our practice in child's pose today. So knees wide, toes together. You can modify and have your knees slightly closer in if you need to for this beginning child's pose. If you find when you come into this position you don't meet down towards the heels with the butt, that's fine. You can pop under there a blanket or one of those skinnier, thinner blocks and pop that between your butt and your heels. And that way you don't have a floaty bum, it has something to sink into, to rest into. We're going to have the hands on the mat, somewhere for us to rest our forehead on to begin. So we're going to just come into this first pose, our child's pose. So you might want to have a little bit of a hip sway from side to side just to ease yourself in. Just like you would in any other starting position, getting any wriggles and fidgets out of the way, get them done and dusted. And then we can start to project our awareness inwards. And you're going to start by checking in with you today. How do you feel today? What's going on for you? What do you need? And always be honest in your answer there, because if you was to ask your best friend how were they feeling, you would actively listen to their response. So actively listen to your own response. Be kind to yourself and accept maybe what you're telling yourself. Accept that maybe you don't feel like a magical unicorn today, or maybe you do. But tuning in, checking in, being honest with ourselves is a really nice starting place for our practice. Once you've begun to settle, you can start to be aware of the breath. Now usually we're aware of the breath in the front of the body, but as we're in this pose, I'd like you to be aware of the breath in the back of the body. So as you inhale, yes, your belly will expand, but inhale so you feel the ribs in the back expanding also. As you exhale, let the heart soften, let the ribs soften, and then continue to expand on the breath. Breath by breath, allowing the breath to become deeper than the one before it. And then eventually you're going to find yourself in that full breath, breathing into the ribs, into the shoulders, all the way down into the lower back. And as you exhale, just feel the body melting. Continue. As the body is now potentially starting to soften and relax, you might now choose to walk the hands out in front of you now. Start to open up into the sides of the body, continuing to breathe. Inhale. As you exhale, just really feeling your body gravitate towards the ground. From here, we're going to very slowly let the hips start swaying from side to side. And then they might start to sway a little further to the sides. And then we're going to slowly press into the hands and inhaling as we lift the hips up to all fours. And then we're going to let the hips sway from side to side here. And then those hip sways can turn into big circles if you like. And back in the opposite direction. Just really feeling your way into your hips, getting to know them. Sounds silly, but getting to know your body is not silly at all. Maybe the right hip likes movements that the left side doesn't, and vice versa. Then we're going to come up to all fours and just let the hips drop towards the mat, just feeling that little bit of a stretch into the lower back, lifting up through the chest, shoulders drawing back in your upward facing dog, thighs up or down. Inhale into the chest. As you exhale, lift the heart. And then slowly popping yourself back onto all fours. From here, we're going to very slowly start to circle the right knee. We're going to keep the core strong. We're going to stay pressing down into the mat. And we're going to just start slowly circling this right knee. So we want the movement to come from the hip, which is why we don't want to lean too much to the left side. But you're going to then eventually allow those circles to become bigger, wider. No judgment over the movements that your hips make, and then circle those back in the opposite direction. And then we're going to bring that knee back down. And then we're going to stay with this right side for now. Stay grounded into the hands and keeping that right knee bent. Inhale, take the knee out to the side now. Again, we don't want to lean and dip too much into the left side. If it means the right side doesn't lift as much, that's okay. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, back out. Exhale, back down. One more for luck. And back down. Then you're going to ground. Pause for a moment, check your breath. And then we're going to start those small little circles into the left knee. And become bigger, wider. Keep the movement steady though. And then circle that movement back in the opposite direction. Bring the knee back, pause in. Inhale and exhale. And then take the knee out to the sides. Exhale, bring it back down. Twice more. Stay strong in the core. And bring in that knee back down. A couple more hip circles or tail wags, whichever you prefer the feeling of. Maybe move into the lower back a little bit. And then we're going to take your right leg back towards the back of the mat. We're going to then bring it out to the side and bring it roughly in line with your hip. We're going to try and press down into the sole of the foot. If you find that you collapse to the inner arch, just do your best to press the weight in the opposite end. If not, don't stress too much. And as you exhale, we're going to just allow the hips to drop down into a half child's pose. Here for a breath, maybe two. 1, If you want to stay just for the one, you can. If not, another breath here. And then we're going to inhale, come back up, keep the right foot where it is, press into the right hand. And we're going to inhale, open up through the left arm. You might feel a little bit tight. Pause. Exhale, bring it back down. Sweeping that right leg in and back, taking the left foot back. Then out wide to the side, same height as the hip roughly. Taking a breath. Exhaling, hips drop into your half child's pose. 1 or 2 breaths. Inhale, 1. Really anchor into the fingertips. Last breath if you're staying. And when you're ready, inhale to come up, grounding into the left hand, and the right arm is going to open. You might feel a sense of tightness in the back here as well. It's quite normal. Exhale back down. Bringing the left leg back around now. Centering yourself a little bit more. One more little tail wag or hip circle. And then anytime you are ready, you're going to walk the hands out. Send the hips back and up into our downward facing dog. Pedal out your downward dog. Hopefully this many days in, you're probably finding you don't need to maybe pedal out as much, or maybe you do, but it doesn't feel quite as tight or sticky as it maybe did on that day 2, 3 or 4. And if it does, know that that's actually quite normal as well. Some of us take ages to loosen up, whereas others are quite annoying and they get really bendy really quickly. I was never one of those in that camp. I have photos to prove if you don't believe me. Alright, from here we're going to inhale, take the right leg up. We're going to bend the right knee and we're going to bring your right heel as if you're bringing it to your left butt cheek. Really lift that right knee nice and high. You can, by all means, circle this right knee. I quite like that sensation of allowing it to just hang behind me, to breathe into that right hip flexor. When you're ready, you're going to step the right foot forwards to the front. We're going to bring the left knee down onto the mat and we're going to inhale, coming all the way up. Into your low lunge. As you exhale, bring the hands down, frame that right foot. Lift the left knee. We're going to have a little bit of a circle, a little bit of a shimmy in this hip here now as well. I'm going to end up facing the wall now, because I didn't think this through. And then we're going to turn the left heel down now, ground it. Inhale, circling the arms up and coming into your warrior 2. Now warrior 2, your hips on your legs are as wide as you want them to be, alright? Some people prefer to have a slightly narrower stance in their warriors because that feels better for them. Some people like to go as wide as they could. And some like to find a happy medium, and so you do you. Arms are nice and lengthened, sinking down but not collapsing into the hips, staying strong in the legs. We want to keep the muscles active as well. Holding into your warrior, inhale. As you exhale, maybe taking it a little bit further. Really ground into your left foot. Then we're going to inhale, take the bend out of the knee, reach the arms up. As you exhale, bend back into that right knee, into your warrior 2. We're going to take this to extended side angles. The right forearm is coming to the thigh and the left arm is coming up and over for that diagonal, lovely side stretch. Take a breath. As you exhale, maybe moving deeper into that right hip. Circle the left hand down to the mat, unplug the left heel, and we're going to twist the right arm up towards the ceiling, or the sky if you happen to be outside. Right hand is going to come to the mat. We're going to step into our plank, take the knees wide, drop the hips into child's pose, and let the hips sway softly from side to side. 2 or 3 breaths in this little hip sway. And then we're going to press into the mat, lifting back into your downward facing dog. Inhale, taking our left side up. Bending the knee, turning that hip out, breathing into the left hip flexor, either choosing to circle this knee if you did it on the other side, or just hang in here for a few breaths. Watch your right ankle doesn't start to twist too much. And as you exhale, we're going to step the left foot to the front now. Right knee is going to come down as we inhale into our low lunge. If you want to lean back, you can. Just make sure you keep your core muscles switched on rather than collapsing. And exhale, hands to the mat. Right knee is going to lift as we have a little bit of a shimmy into the left hip. Any weird and wonderful movement you know works for you, I want you to take them here. And then we're going to turn the right heel in, sweep the arms up and into that warrior two. Pause in as you open up the space in the chest. As the breath. If you want to go deeper into the front hip, you can. When you're ready, inhale, take the bend out of the leg, reach the arms up. Exhale, back into your warrior two. Maybe a little bit deeper. Forearm to the thigh, right side is creating that diagonal stretch. Open up into the stretch first before circling the right hand to the mat and lifting the right heel. Left side twisting open. Inhale, exhale into the twist. And then bring the left hand down to the mat. Step your right foot to the front. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthening the spine. As you exhale, bring the hands to the mat and walk your feet out as wide as your mat is. Turn your toes out, heels in, go as wide as you need to allow those heels to ground. Or you can always pop a little bit of support underneath the heels with a blanket or a smaller brick. Allowing the hips to drop into Amalasana. Then we're going to lift the hips. And then we're going to drop them. Lift with the chest rather than slouching forwards. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back down. One more. Maybe a little bit of a hold in this one. 3, you can go as low as you want, as high as you want. 2, 1. Hands to the mat, step or jump into your plank. Take the knees wide, drop the hips, child's pose. Let the hips sway. Inhale, lift. As you exhale, we're going to drop the hips down into that upward dog. Maybe allowing the feet in a little bit closer. Inhale. Exhale, heart lifts. Toes under, lifting into your downward facing dog. Back to that right side now. So inhale, lift the right leg. Step the right foot to the front of the mat. Cartwheeling the arms into your reverse warrior now. So as we drop the left hand to the left thigh, right arm is going to reach up and extend to that whole side body. Inhale. Exhale, maybe find a bit more room. Into your warrior two, take the bend out of the right knee and turn the right toes in. Heels in of both feet. Bringing the arms up as you exhale, bending the knees, cactusing the arms into your goddess. Now you can hold still, or you can shimmy into your hips a little bit here. I can very rarely come into a pose like this and just be like, yeah, feels lovely. Sometimes I need a little bit more wriggle room, even if I look like a weirdo, I don't care, because my body feels better that way. And then if you do find a little bit of stillness, you're going to pause there. You can continue to move here if you prefer to. Inhale. Exhale, maybe going deeper into those hips. Then we're going to drop the hands to the thighs, rolling one shoulder towards the opposite knee. Inhale, coming out. Exhale, roll the opposite shoulder over. And then do a little bit of a shoulder dance from one side to the other. If you're lucky, get some nice little clicks there in the back. Once more on this side. And then over on this side. We're going to come back up. We're going to lengthen the legs now. So thank you, thighs. And then we're going to turn the heels back out now. From here, we're going to bend into your right knee and the left leg is going to lengthen. And this is, again, it's always up to you how deep you go into poses. So as we start to bend into the right knee, our left leg is going to go into a bit of flexion. It's going to extend, flexing the foot, and then here you can choose to either keep your right heel down, which you'll start to work into your ankle mobility, or some people like to let the heel lift, and then you might feel a little bit more in the hip range, which is where we're kind of working today. So heels up if it feels okay, but more than welcome to stay heels down. We can bring the hands to the heart, or we can bring the hands to the mat. And you don't have to go down as low as this either. You could stay here. We're going to come out of that now. Pause for a moment. Turn your left toes to face the back of the mat or the front of the mat. Bending into your left knee. Left arm reaching up and back. Right hand to the back of the right thigh. Breathing into your reverse warrior. Maybe moving deeper into that front hip if you feel the need to. When you're ready, we're going to take this into our warrior two. Maybe find a bit more room. Inhale, coming out. Exhale, hands to heart space. Turn the left toes in. Exhale, taking a wide leg forward fold. Any variation, I'm going to keep the hands to heart today. If you want to take the hands to the mat or hands to toes, you can. 3 breaths in our fold. 1. 2. And 3. Inhale, coming up. We're going to take that same pose into the left side now. So bending into the left knee, moving into the left hip, and you can extend through the right leg. Use your hands for balance if you need to. If you can't take yourself seriously, definitely hold on. If you can laugh at yourself, then embrace the wobbles, embrace those little falls that we're going to have. When you're ready, inhale, bringing it back up to standing. Make your way back to the front of your mat. When you arrive, we're going to pause here in our Tadasana for a few breaths. As you breathe here, just be aware of the whole hip space. How does it feel? What's going on? Now from here, we're going to walk those feet out nice and wide again. We're going to come into a pose called pigeon. If there's any knee injuries, and I know that you know this anyway, but just be mindful of this variation. I'm going to show you one way, and then if there's any pressure on the knees, I'm going to pop up and I'm going to show you an alternative way that's the exact same pose, it's just done without the weight down onto the body. So when you're ready, we're going to come into our Balasana, dropping the hips down. Keeping the hands on the right foot where it is, we're going to step the left foot back onto the mat. I'm going to drop the left knee down. We're going to then walk this right foot over to the left side of your mat, and your right knee is going to start to come down to the mat. Now this shin, if you were to look at textbooks for yoga, which you shouldn't really get obsessed with that kind of alignment because we're all built differently, this shin will be parallel to the short edge of your mat. Now, if I push my shin parallel to my mat, I'm probably going to damage my knee. So, is it worth it? Probably not. So I'm going to modify. So that right shin, if it wants to come down a bit more diagonal, then you can allow it to do that. We'll then work the left leg back a little bit of a lift up through the chest, and you can stay here, or you can start to walk your hands down, your forearms, maybe walk all the way down to the forehead, the chest and the belly. So this is one option. If this is too much or your knees are not happy, come onto your back. Place your right ankle over your left thigh. We've done this previously. And then reach through into that thigh gap. And this is literally the same pose, except we don't have the weight pressing down on that knee. So either or. So sometimes when we work the hips, we can open up other things in the mind, and we can have the most random thoughts when we open up the hips. So if you're having random thoughts, know that it's quite normal. And we're going to try not to go with those random thoughts though. Just keep bringing your attention and your awareness back to your breath. Mind wanders. If you catch it, remind it to come back to your breath. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Final few breaths here. Remember, you can always come out sooner if you need to. So we're going to come into it a different way this time. So we're going to walk the hands back up. And it's really nice to pay attention to this release here. So very slowly, lift the left knee. And we're going to very slowly step that right foot back into your dog. Feel the release of the hip. Maybe have a little bit of a hip sway from side to side. This time we're going to start here. We're going to take the left leg up. As you exhale, bring the left knee behind your left wrist. Adjust your shin accordingly, and your right hip is going to draw back. So you can always make adjustments with the left knee as well. It doesn't have to be exactly behind your wrist. As you're going to probably get sick of me saying, different bodies need different things. So my alignment might not work for your alignment or Joe Bloggs' alignment. So we have to learn to modify and go by feeling, what feels right, what feels good. If something's going no, 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 then we need to listen to that. So same option as before. If you want to turn around, take your left ankle over your right thigh and pull your right thigh in. Or stay in here and working the body down, or even staying quite high up if that feels better. Breathing into the pose. Try and relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Every time your mind wanders, don't be mad at it, be pleased that you've noticed it wandering. Sometimes it wanders and wanders and we don't even know we're wandering, but if you've caught it, that's a good sign, it's a good thing. Just keep bringing it back to the breath, and I promise you the more you do that, the less you will need to over time. Really sinking that upper body down if you feel you've got the space now to relax into it. Last couple of breaths. And we're going to very slowly again release the pose, walking the hands up, right toes under, stepping the left foot back into your downward facing dog. If you need a little pedal out here, you can take it. If not, we're going to bring ourselves down onto our mat, all the way down onto the ground. Once you're down, pull the knees in, hugging those knees towards you, and then bringing the soles of the feet to the mat, allowing the knees to fall wide and the soles of the feet to come together in our Supta Baddha Konasana. You can keep the hands to the side on the body, or you could even raise them over the head if you wanted to. So just take a few breaths, relaxing into this pose now. You can support the outside edges of the thighs if it's too much by using cushions or blankets. feel free to close your practice here in this pose. Or if you want a little relief from those hip openers now, slowly bring the knees in and take your legs out into your Shavasana. Take 2 more controlled breaths. Inhale 1. Exhale. 1 more. Now allowing the body to relax, the breath to soften, and you to just be and let go for a few moments. If you have time, feel free to just stay here a little longer. Those of you who are coming with me, we're going to very slowly start to add movement back into the body. A wiggle, a sway, anything you like. When you are ready to, roll yourself over to your right hand side and just pause there for a moment longer. Always taking a moment of gratitude for you, for showing up. And then when you are ready, you can press your way back up to your seated position. Bringing your palms together, taking that one final moment of stillness. And then we can bring our practice to an end. Thank you guys. I hope your hips are a lot happier now. And I hope that you enjoyed those lovely stretches. And I will see you